Hey, welcome back to my lab. This would be the video where I will be calibrating my HP 53132A. This is a universal counter, I would say, a recent acquisition into my lab. I got this on eBay, a great seller. I think I got a good deal. It's not the greatest of the deals, but it's an okay deal. But I really do like the unit. It's got tons of features. I always wanted to include this in my lab, but I never really found an opportunity to do so. So she's finally here now, which is great. So you may have seen my previous video where I installed my lab's the Rubidium based oven controlled oscillator. This is a 10 megahertz reference standard. The output of that is fed into my HP 5087A. This is the distribution amplifier that takes the input from my standard and then distributes that across to all 12 channels. And I think I covered this in my previous video. Each of these units are fed by the standard through the distribution amplifier. So anyways, just a quick background there. So this video is about calibrating the 53132A. You may have already seen a ton of videos on this topic, so there's nothing new that I would be doing outside of what the manual is suggesting I do. So just to give some additional context, this has two ports in the back. One is the external reference input. That's where the 10 megahertz Rubidium standard reference is fed into this unit. And then it also has a 10 megahertz output, which is put out coming from its own internal oven controlled oscillator. So the whole point of this exercise today is to make sure its internal oven controlled oscillator is calibrated and other bits and pieces that are calibrated in this video. The internal oven controlled oscillator needs to be calibrated through the time-based menu, and I'll walk through that here shortly. I also have here my 5 volts 0.01 amps set up here, ready to go. I have my oscilloscope. Sorry about the glare. Let me see if I can move this out of the way. The oscilloscope is set up. Just to make sure you can see this. Channel 1 is fed by the standard frequency from the Rubidium. So that's on channel 1. That's going to act as a trigger for me when I calibrate my 53132A universal counter, which will be on channel 3 eventually. All right. So, and then I have a T-split. The other end of the T-split here will be used in calibrating the unit. So you will see that shortly here. All right, so with that, let's get started here. I'm going to zoom in a tad bit so you guys can take a look on of what I'm doing here. So for us to get into calibration mode, first and foremost, before you push the power button, hold down the scale and offset button and then simultaneously press the power button. I've already unlocked my unit here. That's why it says Cal Unsecure. Typically it would say Cal Secure, and then there's a code in the manual, which is really the model number here, 53132, without the A. Once you punch it in, it unlocks it so you can calibrate it. It's a nice way to kind of prevent any accidental calibration procedure. I'm not too worried about that in my lab. I'm the only one here. So anyway, so it's in Cal Unsecure, so it's ready to go. I'm gonna press this right arrow. Oh, sorry, press the scale and offset again. It says offset 1, and I will select enter here. Now it has a scrolling message, remove input from the channel 1. So we have to wait till it scrolls through completely and then press enter. So I'm going to press enter. So offset 1 has passed. Let's move to number 2, calibrate offset 2, press enter. Again, the same thing, remove any input from channel 2. Then once it completes that, press enter. All right, channel 2 offset is passed. Now let's do next. Gain on channel 1, yes. So this is where the 5-volt supply that I was showing you earlier, the way I've set it up, just so you guys can see it again, is it has 5 volts and 0.01 amps. You can't set that to 0 amps. That's not going to work. So you have to at least give it 0.01 amps, and then I will plug in the output from that into my universal counter. So I'm going to do that. It says, do you want to calibrate gain 1? I say yes, enter. It says supply 5 volts to channel 1. So I'm gonna plug it in, and I'm gonna turn on the 5-volt supply on my power supply unit. Turn it on. It's turned on. Now I'm gonna press enter on my counter. Gain 1 pass. So I'm gonna do next. You want to calibrate gain 2? Yes. So I'm gonna hit enter. Wait till it scrolls through completely, and then I'm going to plug it in. Okay, and now I'm going to press enter. Gain 2 has passed, which is good. Keep going to next. I'm going to unplug this. I don't need this anymore, and I'm going to turn off my power supply. And then let's do a right click. It says TI quick. I'm going to skip that for now. Go into TI fine, skip that for now. Now we are getting into the time base. This is where you would calibrate the internal oven controlled high quality oscillator to match the time base coming in from the Rubidium standard. There's some setup that we need to do here, and I'm going to hit enter, and then you can see what I'm doing. It says supply 10 megahertz to channel 1. All right. So this is the 10 megahertz coming in from the Rubidium standard after passing through that T connector I showed earlier in the oscilloscope. So I'm going to plug it in. Okay. And I'm also going to quickly show what we're doing with the oscilloscope. Let's see if I can turn off this light here. Maybe that's better. Yeah. And what I have here, this is the output coming from my universal counter from the back, and I'm going to plug this into channel 3 on my scope. Okay. And I'm gonna run. So looks like it's already quite well calibrated. So I'm gonna see if I can get a better view of this. Okay, all right, so the top one is the Rubidium standard. The bottom one is coming in. Here, let me see if I can zoom that in a little bit. The bottom one is the counter's 10 megahertz output, all right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press enter on the universal counter for it to calibrate the time base. I'm going to do that now. As you can tell, what it's doing, it's trying to fine-tune the internal oscillator and then to match with this, match with the time base. So as you can tell, it's going back and forth, it's fine-tuning, and eventually they should line up and be a one-to-one match in terms of frequency. So as you can tell, it's going back and forth trying to hunt for the time base frequency, and then it's going to lock itself into that time base, which is quite fascinating to see. All right, I'll let this sit and run, and in the meantime, let's take a look at the counter. As you can tell, it's still calibrating. All right, and you can also see from the oscilloscope that you can't tell if it's actually moving or what, but there is ever so slight deviation, and it's hard to tell, but it's moving ever so slightly. And I think what the counter is doing here is it's trying to lock it in place, and it'll happen eventually, of course. So let's give it a minute and let it finish its calibration. And then we should be in good shape. There you go. It says time-based cal has passed. So that's great. And if you look in the oscilloscope, they seem to be quite aligned, and calibration is complete. Let's go on to the next step here. I'm going to select next. Again, it's going through the offset 1 and 2. We don't have to do that. Let's keep moving forward. Gain, we've done it. We've done the... Now, TI quick. This we will need to do. So let's press enter. It says again, supply 10 megahertz to channel 1. So it's a square wave. In my case, after the rubidium passes through my distribution amplifier, its form has become a sine wave rather than a TTL, which is fine. Honestly, I don't care. I think this will still work in my humble opinion, but let's see, enter. So it's calibrating, and then the quick pass, the quick calibration has also passed, so that's great. Now with that, I think we are all set. Now for the TI fine tuning, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to skip it. But outside of that, I think we're all set to go. So I'm just going to power this down. And we are done. With that, thanks for watching. We'll talk soon. God bless.